Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and we're in my Fish Room 2.0 at the new place in Chicago, and I am so excited to share with you this tank, which during the hardscape phase I had called the Game of Thrones because those two pieces of driftwood created sort of a throne that reminded me of the iconic throne in the show as well. But anyway, this is the tank now with a whole bunch of plants that are mostly from tissue culture, and they're already kind of going gangbusters every which way, and that's what we want. Heavily planting a new aquarium is probably the single most beneficial thing you can do to help that fish tank balance out, to help with the cycling process, to literally create and enable the cycling process. And plus it's awesome. I mean, people who've been in this hobby a long time will probably tell you that plants are even more exciting to them than fish. Similar phenomenon in the saltwater world. Long-time hobbyists start to kind of get way more into the coral and the fish themselves, and husbandry for plants and for corals is tricky and challenging and ever changing. So that's some of the reasons why the plants develop kind of they trigger the obsession like nothing else, right? If you buy a school of fish, you're with those fish, right? And you can only learn and do so much with a group of fish, whereas plants, you can move them and trim them and do all sorts of things to them, pull them out, switch tanks, all kinds of stuff. And it's ever changing, evergreen, if you will. Anyway, I babble. You haven't seen this tank before, so I should first of all describe. It's the 88 Cube Garden. Now this is their taller version of the 45, so a little bit more unusual, and in some respects I'm not sure it was the right tank for me to get because that added height has created certain challenges. So you see on the outflow from the stainless steel lily pipe, it's strong. The super jet creates a strong flow, and so the plants, I'm not sure they'll be able to reach above and beyond that, but flow is wonderful for a lot of plants in terms of their growing, and so it's kind of a win some lose some type of thing. I've got some Ludwigia and Rotala in the back there. This is Hygrophilia coriambosa, the giant hygro right there that I just put in those couple of stems. Believe it or not, I found that plant at Petco. That's right. You can have all this fancy equipment and you can be as snobby as you want, but I'm not gonna lie, I go to my neighborhood Petco and I support the hardworking people there, and when they have something special, I jump on it because the price point is always attractive. And anyway, they got some stems today at my one here nearest my home in Chicago, and I could have literally done a whole tank with the quality and quantity of some of the live plants that they got in. So you never know. Don't be too elitist. Yeah, it's a big box, and yeah, sometimes the people there are numbnuts, but in my experience, I've just found some hardworking people that if they don't know something, they're eager to learn it, and that's just been my experience, and I wanted to say that. So shout out to Petco for this giant hygro, as well as these lovely pandas. I got a group of them. I mean, at like $4 or $5 a piece, you're not going to get a better price for those fish, and they're all healthy, and I've got about 7 or 8 in here. That was the first livestock I put in here besides on the mono shrimp and some autosynclus catfish, the traditional cleanup crew to prevent algae growth. And so those were from Petco too. And I've seen ottos in there as well. And so rarer fish and better plants are becoming more commonplace at least at some of the Petcos. So enough of that shout out. In this tank, I've got some S. repens, which is these green sort of minuscule stem plants. They'll stay tight to the ground. You could create a carpet with them. They're easy, and they're a nice alternative to hair grass, which I've also got in here. And I like to mix carpeting plants. In some cases it adds for a more natural aquascape as opposed to a lush, intense carpet of, say, all hair grass. So I've got these different species, and they will compete and combine, and we'll see how it plays out. That's part of the fun. There's some in the back there. There's going to be less light under the so-named throne, and I think S. repens will do just fine. One of my favorite plants is the Anubias Petite variety, the smaller Anubias, and so you see I've got them creating a wonderful trim around the rocks and around the wood. You can just literally stick them into the crevices, and you don't need crazy glue, but you could use that too. So I've got a ton of those plants, and when they start to anchor and create that wonderful hedge line, it's just hard to beat. It's just hard to beat. So those shorter foreground plants offsetting the taller Ludwigia and Bacopa and Rotala in the back, and some mid-ground stuff. I'm taking a chance here. I put some Monte Carlo into a few crevices with little or no aqua soil, and I've seen this work, and I just wanted to experiment and see if I could get neat clumps of this hanging Monte Carlo, which is what it will do in a position like that. I've got different mosses, weeping moss and flame moss, and you can see I've just anchored them into various places. That white stuff, anyone will tell you who knows that that's crazy glue. Eventually the moss will overtake it, or the crazy glue will just disperse and dilute. It's not pretty to look at, but it's really hard to avoid markings like that when you're working on an aquascape. And after the second hour, your hands start to shake and tremble, and you just get kind of crazy and obsessed, and so you make a few little mistakes and you get splotches, and I know that's been my experience. And it's what I love, and I guess it's sometimes hate, because when your hands are shaking and you're trying to finish and you're in the second hour and you want to get your tank running again and not have it off, you start to get a little crazed, and that's what happens to me, and that's what happened to me, and I made those mistakes. I've got some Alternithica renecki, that's the red plant. Probably butchered the Latin for it. Sometimes it's called temple plant, scarlet temple. There's different varieties in here, the mini and the more standard. Now I've crammed these in to various places in this particular tank, second guessing that because it's not really natural. I might have been forcing the diorama, and so I don't really like that effect there. It's not what nature would do, but if it starts to grow up and bunch and do some horizontal growth as well, it might really be nice. We shall see. If it doesn't work out, like I said in the beginning of this video, I can just move the plant and trim it, cut it down, switch it with other plants, or just eliminate it entirely. So the Ceru stone is the gray stone, everybody's favorite in the hobby, and that wood is either ironwood or a classic sort of driftwood piece. They're heavy. they will float, and I did soak these in advance and put some heavy weight on top of them, but I haven't had floating as an issue in this particular aquarium. So the autosynclus, that's doing his job. There's probably about 7 or 8 in there. There's probably about 7 or 8 of those pandas, the Corridora, and there's probably about 8 or 9 mono shrimp. I'd like to get some more. Back to the hardware, I have these Chihiro stainless steel outflow and inflow pipes, working with a Oase Biomaster down here. What a great filter. There's a lot of info about this wonderful machine online, and you get the heater, the priming, everything. It's really a really swell filter. What can I say? I've got 2 of them, and I'll probably never use anything but those moving forward. That's a Twin Star light, and I've got it on the Archaea mounting system, kind of the less expensive bracket that you can assemble. I got both of those pieces of hardware at Aqua Forest in San Francisco, had it shipped to me. They sell high-end stuff for the aquascaper and the aquarium hobbyist, and ironically I'm in Chicago now, moving here from San Francisco, and I've never bought more stuff from Aqua Forest than now, but they ship it, and at a certain price point you're not really paying for shipping, and it's nice to just get those unboxings, right? I don't do unboxing videos, but I do in my own mind. There's a thrill. Love to get a new package and slice open that tape and see what's inside. If you can see this wonderful fish in the background, that's part of this lovely wallpaper that is foundational in my fish room. Kind of crazy, lots of personality, people dig it, I love it. And yeah, that's kind of a surrealistic puffer fish, and this is freshwater, but I mean, it's fun, right? This is a fun and great way to show your personality, quirks and all, and I have no problem having fun in this hobby, because sometimes we take ourselves too goddamn seriously, and as long as you're not hurting fish or plants, you know, have fun. Put a SpongeBob statue in your tank if you want. I was even toying with setting up a tank that actually had some litter in it, like an old beer bottle, right? You would clean it obviously, but you could set it up in an ecosystem to where it literally looks like the bottom of a lake, unfortunately, but what a wonderful way to change things up, right? Food for thought. So the CO2, I'm cranking it. That's coming out of a stainless steel diffuser. I forget the manufacturer, but I've been really happy with this apparatus as well. And there's the bubble counter, some stainless steel pieces of hardware, the check valve, etc. And then here I have a very large CO2 tank and the Archaea regulator that I got at Aqua Forest as well. I'll talk more about CO2 in another video. I've definitely got some big opinions, I've got strong opinions about what's working for me and what isn't, and I'll share those with you moving forward. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave this for now. I just wanted you to see this tank. I've been flirting with it as I showcase other fish tanks, and now I'm just looking right at it, okay? And the plants are still sort of trying to find their place. It's a bit sloppy. You see the crazy glue. I'm hoping and I'm counting on it all to sort of balance out and become beautiful as nature does its thing, and I'm only here to help it along. Okay, folks, you know, have a wonderful rest of your week, and always keep your hands in the tank. Ciao for now.